welcome to another edition of Q&A with CNA in Western Stark County. My name's Dan Mucci, and I'm the Mission Advancement Director for Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health. And on today's episode, I am welcoming back a Massillon Washington High School graduate, Larissa Haring. Larissa, you're back at your alma mater. Tell us how that feels.
Very familiar.
I'm sure it is. Bring back some good memories?
Of course, of course. It's been a while.
And were you in this building specifically?
Yes.
All right, so you got to enjoy all the anemones that are here. So.
Yes, tons of them.
Nice. So Larissa is in charge of CNA's family programming, and she's the manager, and I'm going to be excited to have our viewers learn and share. You're going to share a little bit about what you do. And so before we start, as always with all of our guests, tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, we now know you're from Massillon, but where did you go to college? How did you end up at CNA? Tell us a little bit about your career path.
Sure. So I started out at Kent State for education, and throughout that journey kind of really found a niche of wanting to help children and families more specifically that were struggling. And so that was for intervention specialists, so from some special needs. From there, I got a job with Child and Adolescent working with prevention, and then we were called resiliency coaches. And they wanted us to be able to help kiddos in childcare classrooms reduce their risk of being expelled and kind of help with those behaviors. Well, I loved it so much, because that was back in 2006, that I stuck around and got my master's degree at Malone, and I've been at CNA ever since, providing prevention and clinical services, mostly with a lot of families and a focus on early childhood, but have definitely broadened all the way through for prevention. So I've been there 17 years.
Well, that's awesome. The prevention program's probably changed, and we're going to talk about some of those changes and how it's grown. Obviously, kids today need a lot of resiliency skills, so we'll get into that a little bit more. But why don't you provide our viewers first off with like an overview of what family programming is and a little bit about what you guys do.
Sure. So family programming is a really nice program because we have evolved from the services that we're providing specifically to children and moved into working with the family as a whole. Because ultimately, there's not enough services right now to help everyone that wants the help and desires the help. So if we can help parents become their children's first teacher of social and emotional skills, that has proven to be much more beneficial because you're their first person that they're talking to about their feelings, about their thoughts, they're understanding how to regulate their emotions, and then what is expected of them in society as a whole. And if we're able to approach that from a family perspective, all the way from, if you're a family with children from ages 0, all the way through ages 16, we have a service that can help you with that without having to be in treatment, which means no diagnosis, no insurance, no anything. We're able to really just wrap a family around with services for absolutely free.
That's awesome, and we're going to dig into that a little bit. You're leading into my next question. So you have run a highly successful program called Triple P, so that means Positive Parenting Programming. Why don't you explain a little bit more to our viewers what that means, more than just the letters I gave?
Sure. So Triple P, a lot of people, the PPP program, I'm like, oh, it's a little bit more than that. So a lot of people like to say, oh, you should go to this Triple P thing. But no one knows what the Triple P thing is. And Triple P is a whole lot more than just one thing. It is a broad variety of different solutions and options. And the idea is that we can pick the thing that is exactly what a family needs when they need it. So if you need something super intense, then we can find that for you. If you need something super light, then we can find that as well. So that is for families of all different. We have a 0 to 12 programming. We have for like 10 to 16 programming. This is for parents of this children's ages. And then we have one called Stepping Stones, which is for parents of children with disabilities and or autism. And that one has been very highly seeked out as well. And what all of them do is you might want to come and just kind of have a simple conversation about something like, how do I'm having a new baby and I don't know how to integrate that into the older child's life. Or it could be, my teenager's really struggling with figuring out kind of school and after school balance. How can I help guide them through this? So we can have just a couple conversations with you and get through that. Or you could come to a group and come for 2 hours and talk with other families that are having similar struggles on similar topics, such as bedtime routines, mealtime. It could be, for the older ones, handling teenagers' emotions, family conflict, that type of thing. And then moving forward, if you want it all, then we can give it all. Whether you want it one-on-one with us, if it's at home, if it's via Zoom, if you want to come to the office, it is your choice. But we can also offer it in a group setting, again on Zoom or in the office. And that is really nice because you realize that there are so many other parents that are struggling the same way you are. Because this program is successful because everyone is being challenged by this. You are not alone. Parenting is so hard.
Yeah, I often say my kids are now in college and legally they're an adult. I wish I would have known about some of this back then because some of those tips would have been really helpful. So, these programs are funded in part by the Ohio Children's Trust Fund, and United Way of Stark County also provides some funding. So why do those two programs or funders believe so much in the Triple P program?
That's a really good question. So Ohio Children's Trust Fund, their main goal is to prevent child abuse and neglect. And Triple P specifically, that program that we're utilizing, is completely evidence-based to prevent those types of things from occurring. And I really believe, even from the parents that are talking to us, it's because parenting can cause such anxiety because you don't know what you're supposed to do or you don't know what the right thing is to do, that you just become so worried and so anxious and so built up that you end up in a house full of anxiety and it's just a tornado everywhere. And that's what a lot of families tell us. And what Triple B is able to provide is that calming sense of do this, try this, but you get to pick. Triple P is fabulous for saying, here's some ideas, which one works best for you and your family, because I don't want you to do absolutely everything, because that's never gonna work. So Ohio Children's Trust Fund is really focused in that. United Way is very focused on helping children ages 8 and under really try to build their resiliency to overcome ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. So if a family's struggling, the idea is, and that's with anything, and all of us have been struggling lately with everything happening in the world. And if that's happening, what we're finding is that children end up growing up with a little bit of some challenges. And if you come through the Triple P program, it is proven through their research that we can help raise that resiliency, not only of the children, but also of the parents, because we also talk about taking care of ourselves, because that's also a key to this.
It should be noted, and you may want to expand, Triple P is a worldwide program, so it's not just a United States or a Stark County or an Ohio program.
You're exactly right.
Yeah. So United Way has seen such value in this. Last year, they asked you to take this Triple P model into Gibbs Elementary School, and it was really successful. And then they've also asked you to expand it over in Alliance and here in Massillon, working with some of the poorest neighborhoods or poorest schools. So why don't you expand a little bit about that and maybe highlight which Massillon school we're in?
Sure. So those have been amazing experiences to work with those groups because they really are targeting the families in the neighborhoods. It's less about the school specifically and more about the neighborhood and really trying to wrap the families with as much resources as possible, specifically and strategically. And so at Gibbs, we've been able to pilot that initially, and the success from that they were seeing was that they had better attendance of their students. They were also able to see behaviors in the classrooms decrease because of the stuff that we were talking about during Triple P, and many other things that United Way was providing for that service. As for in Massillon, we are at Franklin. We're at the elementary school, but we're also more specifically at the preschool. So the preschool has been phenomenal, and Mike Medore is definitely a champion and a rock star for that population. And he works really, really well with us to think outside the box and very creatively, both him and Christy Musey. And we were able to take Triple P, which sometimes not everyone likes the idea of coming to something for parenting. Sometimes they can have that stigma of, why do you need to tell me what to do? And that's so not what this is. But what we were able to do for them is they now will have a series. It actually started last Friday, and it's Bring Your Parent to School Day. So the preschoolers got to bring their parents to school last Friday, and they wore their pajamas because it was to learn about bedtime routines and also morning routines, and how important it is to have those routines and those structures, how important bedtime and sleep is. So the kids got to go to their classrooms and they got a story read to them by a puppet dinosaur, and the parents got to sit and work with some of our accredited Triple P facilitators on bedtime routines. After everyone did their work, they all came together. They made a make and take, so they made their bedtime routines and nice visual cues. They did it together as a family. They got some milk and cookies for their snack, and we sent them home with a nice bedtime story and some other goodies to go with it. And we had over 50 parents come to that event. And so that was a huge success.
Yeah, sounds like a really fun morning.
It was amazing. So we're looking forward to continuing that efforts going into next school year, and there'll be at least 4 or 5 of those events.
So this program's probably grown and expanded more than you could have ever probably imagined when it first started. Explain how your team is able to handle the demand.
Yes. We have some amazing staff, and I do believe we use what's called a lot of a parallel process, and everyone who has gone through the Triple P accreditation, we also go through our own supervision of what that program is and work with each other in the same capacity. Meaning that we're very strength-based and we work really hard together to make sure that we have a solid team. And so our turnover has been almost non-existent, which is amazing right now. And we're also able to cross-train. So some of our other providers at the agency are also trained in Triple P. So even if you are receiving other like clinical services, it is possible that your clinician is also trained in Triple P, because right now as an agency we have over 15 providers trained and accredited in at least one option of Triple P.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say I'm the parent. I hear about your services. I go through the website. What's the next step?
Sure. So you fill out a very, very simple form on the website. It's really just asking for your contact information. Once you fill that out, my wonderful, wonderful colleague Deanna will actually text you and say, hey, when's a good time to chat? You text her back, you set up an appointment, and she will talk to you for about 30 minutes or so. And what's nice is she will help you then decide what is the best Triple P option or other services that we have for you and your family. So you don't have to know what all of the ones are that we offer. She will help guide you through that process, and she is amazing. Really simple then. Super simple. Not much. You just need to push the go button and do it. So recently you received a $500,000 grant also from the Ohio Children's Trust Fund, but this is for the Family Success Network. Correct. And so tell us a little bit about what those services will provide, and that's just not for Stark County, that's for some surrounding areas as well. That one is actually just for Stark County. So the Family Success Network has been piloted actually. Now this might be where you were headed with the other counties, because we do have access to family support networks in other counties. However, the one we'll be providing will be for Stark. And the state of Ohio and OCTF has put a lot of work into these programs, and the outcomes have been phenomenal. It's kind of, if you're familiar with 211, meaning like you need some support and resources, you would call 211 and ask. I kind of look at the Family Success Network as a live version of that. You would call we will have a Family Success Network coordinator. You'll call the line and they will talk with you. They'll actually come out to the house and say, tell me what's going on, how can I help? And they will get you where you need to go. And for us, we're able to then provide, whether it be concrete supports of you need help paying a utility bill, and we need to kind of get you back up on your feet. If it's, we can help with money management and put you through a course of that one-on-one with a family coach. Triple P is also a component of that as well, so we will have even more friends trained in Triple P. There's also a transition to independence and strengthening families and motivational interviewing. They will be highly, highly trained family coaches with their very first goal of just meeting with you and saying, how can I help? And it's often going to be from referrals, not only from the community and other agencies serving families, also through DJFS. And so saying, if you need some extra help and assistance, just kind of lowering your stress level, because what we do know is when our stress level as grown-ups and parents rises, the risk of child abuse does also rise. And so if we can help reduce some of those stresses and give you some of that support, we can reduce that. And so the Family Success Network is going to be a pretty big addition to Stark County. Anyone can participate. It will be absolutely free to anyone. We will have a lot of partners within this process, and we're hoping to kick this off sometime in October.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's going to be another amazing program being added to CNA. So within your department, is there anything you want to add that we missed, or just anything in general about everything we've talked about that you'd like to add?
I think we've hit quite a bit of it. Ultimately, if you're not sure, but you know something, you just want a little help and you're not sure it's right, really do just call us and we will help you figure out where the next best step is, because you just never know. And if we aren't the best place or the best fit to answer that question, we will find out who is. We're really good at that. So.
Great.
Yeah.
So for more information on family programming or any of the programs or services Child and Adolescent offers, visit our website, childandadolescent.org, or call 330-433-6075. This concludes another great episode of Q&A with CNA in Western Stark County. We thank Larissa Haring for joining us today. We also thank Massillon City Schools and WHS-TV for allowing us to provide this partnership to let you know about the programs and services of CNA. Until the next time, thank you for joining us.